because I have some powerful secrets to share with you about how you can become a confident, fluent English speaker. Even if you've tried before and felt frustrated, or if people have told you it's just too difficult, I'm here to show you that English fluency isn't out of reach. It's an achievable goal. Imagine how empowered you'll feel a few months from now, comfortably conversing in English, proud of how far you've come. That may sound like wishful thinking, but let me assure you, you're closer than you think. Today, I'm going to share proven strategies and techniques that have helped my own students make remarkable progress. If they can do it, so can you. Let's start by addressing a common hurdle: the fear of making mistakes. You may worry about mispronouncing words or using the wrong grammar, but trust me, you're not alone. My student Isabel, for example, was terrified of speaking up because she thought people would laugh at her errors. She was so paralyzed by this fear that she barely spoke English at all. But you know what happened when Isabel made her first mistake in class? She accidentally said, "I am a cucumber," instead of "I am from Mexico." And yes, we all had a good laugh, but it was a supportive, inclusive laugh that made her feel welcomed into the learning process. Mistakes aren't roadblocks. They're guideposts. Every error is a stepping stone, a sign that you're progressing. So next time you feel that familiar fear creeping in, remember Isabel's cucumber moment. Remind yourself that mistakes are inevitable, and they mean you're learning. No one becomes fluent without taking that crucial first step of actually speaking, even if it's not perfect at first. Embrace those flubs as allies on your journey. Another powerful secret is the importance of consistency over intensity. When I first started teaching, I thought the best way to learn was through long, arduous study sessions. But over time, I realized something incredible. Students who dedicated just 10 or 15 minutes to practice every single day improved faster than those who crammed for hours once a week. Take my student Maria, for example. She had a busy life with work and family commitments, so she could only spare about 15 minutes per day, but she never missed a session. Every morning on her commute, Maria would listen to English podcasts, repeat key phrases, and review her notes, just a quarter hour daily. And after 3 months, she was already engaging in basic conversations. Maria's secret was simple: little and often. She didn't have more time than other students, but she had unwavering consistency. So here's my advice to you. Don't worry about how much you study. Focus on how consistently you study. Even if you only have 5 or 10 minutes, use that time wisely. Watch a short video, listen to a song, or practice saying a few sentences out loud. These small, frequent steps add up to big progress over time. Remember, every day you spend immersed in English, you're one step closer to fluency. Another crucial strategy is embracing real-world practice. One of the best ways to improve is to use English as much as possible in your daily life. And contrary to what you might think, you don't need to be living in an English-speaking country to do this. I've had students make incredible strides just by incorporating the language into their regular routines, even in their native countries. For example, you can start by narrating your everyday activities in English. If you're making coffee, describe each step out loud. I'm filling the kettle. I'm pouring the grounds. Or when you're out for a walk, name the objects you see. The sky is blue. Those trees have green leaves. This may sound overly simple, but it gets your brain actively connecting thoughts and words. Before long, English will start to feel more intuitive. Real-life practice is like training for a sport. The more you do it, the stronger you get. So try this today. Describe your entire day in English, even if it's just a few sentences at a time. Don't worry about perfection, just speak. Every word, every phrase you utter is valuable practice. Building confidence through listening is another powerful technique. Many language learners struggle with speaking because they just don't feel confident enough. But one surefire way to boost that confidence is by immersing yourself in the language through listening. When you listen to English every day, your brain becomes accustomed to the sounds, rhythms, and flow of the language. Over time, you'll find it progressively easier to understand and ultimately speak. Take my student Sophia, for example. She loved watching English TV shows, but at first she couldn't grasp much of the dialogue. So, Sophia started replaying certain scenes, repeating the lines out loud. Slowly but surely, she began recognizing more words and phrases. After a few months of this active listening practice, she could watch her favorite programs without subtitles. Find something you genuinely enjoy, a TV show, a podcast, YouTube videos, and don't just listen passively. Listen actively, parroting what you hear, mimicking the accents and intonation. The more engaged you are, the quicker you'll start feeling connected to the language. And with each successful listening session, your confidence in speaking will grow. One of the most important things I emphasize to my students is to find joy in the journey. Learning a language isn't a race, it's an adventure. Think of English as a new friend you're getting to know. Laugh when it feels challenging, celebrate every improvement, and be patient with yourself. My student Liam, for example, would often get frustrated because he wanted to be fluent immediately. But as soon as he started focusing on celebrating the small wins, like mastering a new phrase or understanding a tricky grammar concept, he felt so much happier and more motivated. Remember, every word you learn is a step closer. Savor each of those steps and don't worry about how far you still have to go. Visualization and positive affirmation are also incredibly powerful tools. Close your eyes and picture yourself speaking English fluently. Imagine the confidence, the ease, the freedom. This isn't just a dream, it's a goal that you're actively working towards. Try saying affirmations out loud. I am becoming a confident English speaker. I am improving every day. English is becoming easier and easier for me. These words will keep you motivated even on the tougher days. Now, let's talk about vocabulary. You might think that learning new words is all about memorizing long lists, but let me share a little secret with you. Memorization is just the tip of the iceberg. The real magic happens when you connect those words to your own life. Start by focusing on vocabulary that's relevant to your interests and passions. If you love cooking, learn food-related words. If you're into sports, build up the terminology you'd use on the field. This way, English becomes personal and engaging for you. My student Olivia, for example, was really into gardening, so she began by learning words like plant, flower, soil, and bloom. And because these words were already part of her everyday life, she found them incredibly easy to remember. Another effective technique is to group vocabulary by theme. Let's say you're learning words related to emotions. Instead of just memorizing happy, sad, and excited, create vivid mental pictures for each one. Imagine yourself feeling those emotions. What would make you feel excited? Perhaps planning a fun trip. When you learn vocabulary in these meaningful clusters, it's so much easier to recall and use the words. Here's one more helpful trick for you. Use flashcards, but with a twist. On one side, write the word. On the other, write a sentence that ties that word to your own life. For instance, instead of just writing delicious, you could write, my mom's homemade cookies are delicious. Every time you see that card, you'll remember the word and a personal story associated with it. Vocabulary is like building blocks for your language skills. Every word you learn adds another brick to your fluency foundation. Don't feel like you have to memorize everything at once. Start small, build steadily, and before you know it, you'll have an impressive vocabulary that feels authentic and natural to you. Now, let's tackle the topic of grammar. I know the word alone can feel a bit daunting, but here's the thing. Grammar doesn't have to be complicated. Think of it more like learning the rules to a new game. Once you know the basics, you can start playing. So let's simplify grammar and make it practical and even fun. Focus first on the most useful structures, sentences you'd actually use in daily life. For example, practice simple present tense statements like I like, I want, I need. Build from there, adding new tenses and sentence types as you progress. My student Ethan, for example, started his grammar journey by practicing just 5 everyday sentences every day. He'd say things like, I need coffee in the morning, or I enjoy watching movies. Over time, he felt increasingly confident adding new phrases and grammar patterns to his repertoire. Another powerful approach is to learn grammar in chunks, not as isolated rules. Instead of dissecting each component of a sentence, try to internalize entire phrases as complete units. For example, rather than analyzing, I am going to the store, just remember it as a whole. The more you see and use these grammar chunks, the more natural they'll become. Soon, you'll instinctively know how to construct sentences without having to think through every grammatical rule. Try this simple exercise. Describe a typical day using just a few sentences in the present tense. I wake up. I eat breakfast. I go to work. Start small, then gradually add more details. I wake up at 7 a.m. I eat breakfast with my family. One last tip. Focus first on learning the most common grammar patterns. In English, certain structures come up again and again, like I want to, I need to, I like to. Practice filling in the blanks with different words. The more you reinforce these fundamental patterns, the more confident you'll feel applying grammar in your own speech and writing. Remember, grammar is just a set of tools. You don't need to master everything at once. Take it one step at a time, prioritize the most useful concepts, and let grammar become your ally, not your adversary. It's like building a house. Start with a strong foundation, and soon you'll be constructing increasingly complex linguistic structures. One of the most powerful ways to learn both grammar and vocabulary is through the power of storytelling. When you read or listen to a story, you get to see words and grammar used in a natural, contextual way. And you know what? Your brain is hardwired to remember information conveyed through stories. Let's say you're reading a simple tale about a day at the beach. You'll organically pick up words like sand, wave, sunshine, and phrases like, I am relaxing on the beach. At the same time, you'll observe grammar in action, such as, he is swimming, or she has a towel. By encountering the language within a narrative, your mind starts making natural connections between the vocabulary and sentence structures. Here's a fun exercise to try after reading a short story. Retell the tale in your own words. Start with sentences like, yesterday I went to the beach, and build from there. Don't worry about perfection. Just practice using the same grammar and vocab you just learned. This technique helps cement the language because you're actively applying it, not just memorizing. Stories bring the language to life, so find narratives you genuinely enjoy, whether they're simple fables, engaging articles, or even comic strips. The more invested you are in the content, the easier it will be to learn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm truly excited to see you succeed on your English learning journey, and I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. Remember, with consistency and the right strategies, fluency is absolutely within your reach. Go forth with confidence, my friend, and I'll see you again soon.